Hello, 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 hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome in for another Conversations with Angel. If you hear fireworks in the background, I am literally down the street from the Carolina Panthers football stadium, and they are having Fan Fest tonight. I didn't know timing, but if you can't hear it, great. But if you can, my apologies. It should be ending soon. So, welcome to Conversations with Angel. I encourage you, if this is your first time, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I certainly hope that you will stay. But if this is your second, third, fourth time, or if you're a regular that comes on often, tonight is very important to me. It's a very important night because it appears, and this tonight's topic is black men, black women, the gender war that's plaguing our community. And it's not something that's brewing. It's something that's been going on for quite some time. And social media seems to amplify this divide. And I'm not talking in terms of just relationships, I'm talking about in day to day relationships, friendships, partnerships, businesships, and romantic relationships amongst African American men and women. And so, what I have seen over, I would say, the last year and a half that I've been on social media, hello everyone, it seems that we can't have adult conversations, particularly as it relates to relationships. Both genders have been wrong. Both. I have seen black women on social media call black men out of their names. I have seen them call them anything from simps to weak excuses of a man. I've seen black men degrade black women, talking about our fake hair, and I'm the first to tell you, I wear weaves, I wear wigs, I wear braids, I wear my hair because I can. And if that is not your preference, that's fine. That's fine. And then I see a lot of people, black men and black women, who talk over one another to the point where there have been hosts that have tried to moderate conversations between the two, giving each a turn to speak, and that's not ever good enough. So, how can we be for the community? How can we improve our community if we're divided? You know how the saying goes, a family or a house divided cannot stand. Now, we've got some challenges for our community, from the the school to prison pipeline, the inequities and reentry for those, the lack of funding that's equitable amongst HBCUs. We've got poverty at an all-time high. We've got bigger fish to fry, but we get on the social media app and we can't even have conversations with one another. So tonight I'm going to invite some creators in. I think one of them is coming. Creators to come in, and I want us to try to have a dialogue. I want to have an equal number of men and women So each time I bring up a man, I want to bring up a woman. Hello, Evans. How are you, love?
Hello, hello. How are
Hey,
you?
I am
Why am I upside
fantastic.
down?
You're upside down.
Why am I upside down?
What's
What?
happening? So, everyone, while we wait for our special guest to come in, please, you all, tap, tap, tap the screen, share the live, invite your friends and family if you care about, if you care. I can't.
Only me.
Evans, why is your phone upside down? That's super weird. Why is your phone upside? I mean, can you turn it the other
I, I,
way?
I'm trying. I'm trying.
Okay. No, I mean, can you like physically? Hello, Jay. Hello, love. How are you? So if you there's okay, so every man that comes up, I'm inviting a female creator, and I've sent this to equal number of female creators who I love, who are near and dear to my heart, who I know have great concerns for the African American community in particular. And I know that I've got a gamut of TikTok friends that are other races, but tonight, this is specifically for melanated men and women so that we can figure out a way to better communicate. We are not listening to one another. I can hear my male counterparts talking and my female counterparts talking, but they're not listening. Okay, Ashley, they're not listening to one another. Why are we talking over one another? Why? Why are we not? Yay, Evans, you got it straight. So, while we wait for some more guests, please, please, please tap the screen. Share the live, everyone. Share the live. When you share it,
Absolutely.
put in the comments. We are talking about better communication between Black men and Black women. And there's a myriad of reasons why, and we could go back into history, but I don't want to go back into history because I believe, here's my theory. Until social media really became a thing and people were spending more time on social media, with hello, Maurice, which it seemed to happen around COVID. Now we know that there has been this rift that has happened between certain Black men and certain Black women. But it seems that it became extremely evident and highlighted during COVID. And I
Agreed.
can tell you, Cynthia G and Kevin Samuels probably were the two individuals on both ends of the spectrum that perhaps fueled the fire. Now, both of those social media content creators, rest in peace, Kevin Samuels, both of those creators had some valid points. Unfortunately, the sound bites of both Cynthia G and Kevin Samuels that was put on social media made it very difficult for people to see past the rhetoric and the negativity that both of them spewed regarding the opposite sex.
Agreed.
Now, we have creators on TikTok, Black men and Black women, who are so disrespectful to one another. I've seen ones that I know, ones that I don't know, that refuse to hear and listen to each other. But they collectively claim to have the best interests of the African American community at heart. It's hard to support or fall behind people that say that they have the community's best interests when they can't even respect one another in a social media platform. We have, hello, Dee Dee. Dee Dee, do you want to come in? I want to have equal women and men to come in so that we can have this discussion, because I have some questions. I have questions, and I want us to talk about it. I want to know how we can do better in our communication. Is it our responsibility as content creators to call out behavior that, after, Dee Dee, I need to eat, but I'm going to wait until after, but I feel you, sis. So we know that many people aren't going to give us the platform on their platform for correction. Is that right or wrong? So Evans, if I'm in your live and you ask me to come into the box, okay, and there is a black female disrespecting a black man, do you feel as the host it is your responsibility to shut that down and call out that behavior? Do you call out the behavior of the woman, or do you feel like I, being in your live, that I should call her behavior out and you only address the man? Or does it matter?
I am of the belief that I believe that people should call anyone out who is wrong. If you believe morally someone is not acting in the best interest of everyone, you should call them out. However, because I've lived for so many years on this earth, I know better. It's no longer an option. We cannot just call people out and think that you're not putting yourself in jeopardy. We've seen far too many people lose their lives, get harmed for one reason or another, from one extent to another, because they were trying to do the right thing. So for me, what I have adapted and what I always share with others on social media is do what you can do with as little repercussions as possible. In other words, I will correct anyone that I have a relationship with in which I can correct them. It's important that you have a circle of people around you that you can correct. So if the person is within that group, I can absolutely hold them accountable. When it's someone who...
Hey,
Gumbo, how you doing?
Gumbo, you coming in, sweetheart? So Evans,
when it is a gentleman that's not
people
out,
are fearful. Do you think people are fearful of correcting each other because of backlash? But we're on social media. You can't come to, hello, sweetheart. It's been a while. Thank you, sweetheart. What can someone do to me on social media other than block me or throw me out?
Well, in regards to social media, blocking you is in many times it's a punishment. It's a form of punishment. It may not be on the grand scheme of things that big a deal, but for social media, it is a form of punishment. I know people who have gotten so upset because I just simply blocked them. And they get upset. They tell the entire platform not to support Evans. go against Evans. Go get Evans, as a matter of fact. And all I did was block them. So if you don't think that's a big deal, you haven't spent enough time paying attention. People get highly upset. So yes, people are concerned with that. They really are.
So we have right now 3 ladies and 1 man. So where are my fellas? Where are my fellas? I want to make sure that this is equitable. And just to reset the room tonight on Conversations with Angel, thank you so much for joining me. Hello, beautiful Ashley, beautiful Krista.
Hello.
Tonight, I want to talk about this gender war that we have going on in the African American community, particularly on social media, specifically on TikTok. Black male and Black female conflict. That's what I want to tackle tonight. I think that your opinion absolutely matters, sweetheart. From your observation, what do you see? How can we, as content creators, whether our platform is 2,000 to 200,000, we have a voice. If you have one person following you, that one person wants to hear what you have to say. How can we, as content creators, improve the visual images that we see on social media and the conversation? Now, I hear Evan saying that when you try to hold people accountable and you try to call out certain behaviors, people get attitudes, people get mad, people block you, they kick you out of the line. So is that a legitimate fear to have for not calling someone out?
If I could, that's why I
No.
was listening. And if
Yes.
you want me to drop until you get another man so it can be balanced, I'm happy to drop.
Oh,
But I had to
I
respond.
assure you it's balanced. I assure you it's balanced.
I
He said,
wanted
I
to,
got this.
I wanted to respond to what Evans just said as far as being canceled, because we know the
Just to be
cancel
clear,
culture.
I didn't complete my statement, but you can respond to
Oh, no, I'm
partial
sorry,
statement.
Do you want
Evan.
to? Absolutely. Do you want to finish so we have full context?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. What I was saying was that there is a punishment on social media, but it certainly can get physical as well. Because I have seen on multiple occasions where people are going as far as doing doxing. That's not just social media, right? It's actually affecting the people. They have threats going to people's families. They have packages, people's houses. There are things that are happening. Come on, you haven't heard of what's going on with all those on the dark side of TikTok? A lot is happening out here.
No.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
You guys haven't heard?
Hello,
Wait a
So I
everyone.
minute.
know
You guys haven't heard that they
everyone.
send SWAT team to people's houses? They call it swatting.
No.
Oh my
I,
goodness. Okay, well,
okay,
you're not
so
aware.
what Evan is referring to is there was the Black female therapist that made a TikTok complaining about just in general her Black male clients, and someone made a entire article about this woman, and when he says doxing, her employment information so that people could find her. So absolutely, people are watching folks live, seeing what they believe is child abuse or domestic violence or whatever, calling the police. But my thing is, how do you know where these people live to be able to send the police? So I know
Right.
exactly. Yeah, I know exactly what he's referring to. But here's my thing. I don't know anybody on here personally. I'm just gonna share who I am and what I believe. Not everybody's gonna be saved. Not everybody's gonna be part of the movement. There are gonna be some people that we have to leave behind. And I don't want to be a martyr, but if I have to be the example so people know what we will and will not do, that's fine. when it comes to holding people accountable, I have absolutely no problem saying, Angel, what you did yesterday didn't make no sense. Let me tell y'all what Angel did yesterday, and I'm gonna call her out. If I know her personally, I'm gonna reach out to Angel. Hey, love, something I seen you do yesterday. Blah blah blah. Now, if Angel wanna block me, cool. But guess what? Angel and her whole team may block me, but what if I gain 100,000 other people that agree with what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody is going to be a part of the movement. So for me, I'm going to call you out. And I want everybody to be held accountable for their choices. And if that means you block me, block me. If that means you dox me and you pull up at my business, pull up. You're not going to walk away the same way you walked up. I'm just saying, please be careful. Because I understood from day one, even before I got into this TikTok realm, I have always felt this way. I have always spoke this way. And it's going to take some radical people to do some radical things for us to see radical change in our community. Somebody gonna have to say it, because we've been tiptoeing for how many years? Have we seen any changes? No. So I am literally doing what I suggest people do in my life every day. I don't just talk, I walk and talk.
Walk the walk.
So
You're 20, how old?
Okay, now.
I'm 36.
She's still a baby.
Yeah.
No, now I'm surprised. I'm surprised she has that
I
perspective
know,
at 36.
She
Okay.
You know what?
definitely
Can I say
has
something,
wisdom.
you guys?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
Angel, I didn't know that this was centered on social media. But let me say this. All that you guys are speaking of, Evan, Ashley, I didn't know this stuff existed.
Right.
I'm not on live like that, and I don't spend my life on TikTok. So I post, but I'm not on, I don't do lives usually. And the reason why I don't is because I've seen lives where people are trolling, and honestly, I'm too old. I ain't got time for that. You know, I got enough stuff in my life with my clients and all the things that I do to be worrying about these idiots who have nothing better to do, constantly saying things, have nothing intelligent to say, nothing to add to the conversation. Most of them never have profile pictures.
Right.
They spend their time being trolled. So all of these things that you're saying about, well, I know people are very sensitive about social media, which, like Evan was saying, you block somebody and it's like you killed you unalived one of their relatives or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because people are so engulfed this, what I believe to be a make-believe world.
It is definitely fantasy.
Because 80% of these people on here, these are their representatives.
Absolutely.
These are their representatives. So for a lot of people, this is like an acting job, like they're on a sitcom or something. You know, it's like, okay, I may not be shit in life, but guess what? I'm gonna be on TikTok and I'm gonna get, you know, as much attention any way that I can. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the fact that it's gotten to this level, SWAT teams and threats, and that's absolutely ridiculous. How old are we?
We can't be taken seriously when we not only do those types of things, but when we perpetuate the stereotypes that people that don't look like us.
Right.
We cannot blame an oppressor, or we cannot blame an enslaver for enslaving us or oppressing us if we do not participate. In 2023, we cannot. We have to allow it to happen. We have to participate. Unfortunately, when I see an Ash, I fell in love with Ashley the very first time that I saw one of her content videos, and I think at the time, you had just gotten
Follow her.
10,000 followers. I think when you came on my live, I think you had just hit 10,000 followers.
Yes.
And one of the videos that you showed today or yesterday, I can't remember, was 4 or 5 African American women who were twerking in a spotlight so that you could see their private parts in this dance. And then these are the very same women that get pissed off when a man calls them a bitch, a whore, a prostitute.
So, Angel, if I could, because for those who don't follow me, by all means follow me. But
I got you.
If you look through my content, I am drawing full attention to the foolishness because there are a lot. I'm with Krista. I understand what she's saying 1,000%. In real life, TikTok is not my real life. My real life, I am actively making change in my community. But what I'm realizing is I can't touch every community. I can't be in every space.
Absolutely.
So what TikTok has turned out to be for me is a way for me to reach who knows how many communities that I will never physically be in. So I do a lot of lives. I do make a lot of content. And the reason I'm going to keep posting videos like that, because they're in the comments fighting for their life right now. They feel like, well, if you don't believe in it, why'd you post it? Because there is a young woman somewhere that is going to think that that's okay and teach my stance on it to understand, oh, now I see why that's not okay. When it's been glorified to objectify yourself and you have nobody in your community tell you that that's not okay, sometimes it's young women and young men, or even older women and older men. It doesn't matter. It has no age. You can learn at any age. When you have someone that is speaking in a different way than you've ever seen or heard that looks like you, it maybe will shift your perspective. Maybe you will start to, well, maybe I shouldn't do. And so that's why I enjoy TikTok, because I am able to share a voice that otherwise would not be heard. Because it's not what I'm doing, memorize. It's not popular. Right. And I think that what Angel is saying is spot on. People are so encouraged behind social media because there is no ramifications for you spewing off at the mouth. Those are the platforms that we need to ignore. The people who enjoy the drama and the messiness, leave them over there. Matter of fact, I don't even block them no more. I let them watch. Because maybe this positive energy off of my platform will help some kind of way. I leave them on there. But I don't think there's enough representation of what real, I don't want to say real Black women, because those are representatives. Those are women that I am only here to make money, and I'll do anything. I'll sell my soul to make money. That's not real. That's fantasy, like Krista said. I want to show the insight of what real life looks like for a real Black woman who is trying to reunite her community.
And can I say this, Ashley? Can I just give you your kudos? You are a younger Black woman, and you're out here trying to make a difference. And I totally, I get exactly what you're saying, because the community that I work with, underprivileged women and children, and their realities, and I don't know everybody's background on the platform, but their realities aren't mine, or maybe yours, or maybe Angel's, or maybe Evan's. I don't know what your backgrounds are, but I'm just speaking in general. So as a therapist, when I'm working with young ladies who I'm the only voice that's positive, speaking life into them. I'm not telling them they ain't shit. They ain't never gonna be shit, you know. And I present myself in a manner, a Black woman, a young lady, respectable, well spoken, you know, to show them and to listen. I know what you may be used to seeing, but there's another side. And a lot of these young ladies that I work with are so intelligent. Just because I got degrees or whatever, but just because you ain't went to school don't mean you're not smart and you're not intelligent.
Right.
A lot of people just have not had those same opportunities. But when I tell you these women are intelligent, well spoken, but they just have been born into situations that are just awful. And when you get to 20, 30 years old and your reality has been this, even if you see the other side, you don't feel like there's a place for you on that other side. You know, it takes people like me, you, Angel, Evan, and other people who are out here, whether it be social workers, advocates for social justice, therapists, mental health professionals. It takes us and us, and I don't mean to single you out, Evan, or leave you out, but it
Right.
takes us women when we're dealing with other young Black women to
Mm-hmm.
show them what they have in them, because everybody has always highlighted the negative
Exactly.
and told them what they couldn't be. So I just want to say to you, Ashley, I'm so proud of you, a young sister doing your thing, and keep doing your thing.
Thank you.
So Javon, I have been on. Javon has a podcast, and I was a guest on his podcast, and I've invited him to come and talk about this topic because I know he has a huge reach. And let me be very clear. You know, if there is a man in the chat, if you have 1,000 followers or more and you'd like to join us, I want us to be equitable in this conversation because I have a series of questions that I want to ask and I want to give equal responses to. We've already broken one of our rules on Conversations with Angels that we don't interrupt, and I interrupted Evans, and so I apologize. But we are going to have this dialogue without interruption, and I want to give 60 seconds to each person when I ask these questions. But Javon, I want to ask you, and I know that you are building your platform here because you have a podcast outside of TikTok. You talk a lot about relationships. What are you observing, particularly as it relates to Black men and Black women? What are you seeing in the social media space? And I know that you're on Facebook, but what are your thoughts about how we are communicating with one another? Welcome in, everyone.
Great question. And first of all, thank you for inviting me up. And I just want to say, me and Ashley been in a relationship in my mind ever since I saw her page.
Why are you not on camera?
I'm actually in the car. You couldn't be able to see me, but
Okay.
I do want to say this to your question. So when you think about, the nature of men and women today in the dating world, I think that abnormal has become normal. And
Mm-hmm.
we are so divisive now, but it has been by design, especially when you look at people of color. We have been systematically torn apart, and we're doing nothing to come back together. We
Right.
fall into this needing to have attention, needing to
Mm-hmm.
blame someone else for my pain. TikTok for me. I just cannot believe the amount of gentlemen that I see on here needing their feelings to be pacified and babied, needing to
Absolutely.
blame women for the lot in life that they're in. It just really irks my nerves. But
Hmm.
when I see some women have platforms who all they do is talk about other women who they believe have made the men like this.
Yeah.
My thing is, nothing can stop me as a man from being a man. Nothing.
Right.
I don't need permission to be a man. I am a man. And I think that it is up to us as men to step up and do something to change the trajectory of marriage and relationships. But I think that we have to move past this need for, I want 1 million followers, so I'll be a jackass. No.
Right.
How about you have some integrity? And my thing is, I have more followers on other platforms than TikTok because I don't go live. I don't.
Right.
Hmm.
But my thing is, we've got to start speaking intelligently and not falling in the stereotype. But we don't see the need to do that because why? We are rewarded for our ignorance. We are rewarded for being ratchet. We are rewarded for showing the worst parts of us. And I'm going to end here and say this. It all started with reality television. That's where it started. And now, because it's been so popularized, now because I can get a check for being a buffoon, that's what I do. So I will sell my soul without question.
Likes and shares. So are we losing the integral part of our relationship dynamics to likes and shares? Are we at a point where it is more important to have likes and shares than to have families, than to have healthy marriages, than to have a dynamic between men and women that is positive, empowering, and to the point where we can build each other? You know, I was participating in a live a couple weeks ago, and there was a young gentleman that came in. As soon as he opened his mouth, I immediately knew he was going to get clowned, as the young people would say. Because when he opened his mouth, his emotional intelligence was extremely high. He was well beyond his years in terms of his wisdom. He spoke, he hit all of the I's and dotted all the T's. And do you know, there were women in the chat that was calling him a simp.
Oh yeah.
I believe it 1,000%.
I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed. And so the host told me, because I was calling, I was like, why are you talking about him like this? This man is spitting some knowledge. This man is going to be someone's good husband. And the host said, oh, don't look at the chat. Don't pay attention to the chat. The chat will mess you up. And I'm like, what? So no one's going to say anything about the people in the chat that's talking about this young man who's sharing some knowledge, spitting some straight facts. They were calling him nerd. They were calling him a simp. They were saying, oh, you just trying to appease to the women. And what is wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
Exactly.
Well, you know, Angel, the one
TikTok
thing
has
that you
become.
said, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The one thing that
Ladies
you
first.
said, though, which is a key component to everything that we're talking about. See, to have these kind of conversations that we're discussing, you have to be emotionally intelligent. If you're not going to be able to have a conversation. Someone's going to get offended. People are going to start raising their voices, probably start cussing and being very defensive. It takes a certain amount of emotional intelligence to be able to have those kind of conversations. And all these people here on TikTok or whatever who claim to know the key to a relationship, who ain't in relationships, and who, you know, it's emotional intelligence. You hit it on the head. And if
Right.
without that, we're going to continue to be here. And like is that GD? Like he said, you know, we're falling into um the history of what the people wanted us to do.
Right.
You know, in 1954 during civil rights, us black women and black men, that's when we were sticking together.
That's right.
Everything came into play to tear us apart. Everything from food stamps, when they started the whole thing with food stamps, what did they do with that? They made that the stipulation to get food stamps is that you can have a man in the house. So what are
Absolutely.
they doing? They breaking up the black family. And they did it with the men in terms of their strength, and they did it with the women, messing with them intellectually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so this stuff,
Yeah.
even though, you know, we don't want to
And
say
it
stuff
happened
in the
before
chat, it
then.
comes from that. Ooh,
It happened before then. It happened
right?
when we got off the ship.
Oh yeah, oh
They made
absolutely.
our men breeders,
Hello.
and made us their harlots to breastfeed their children. But I don't want to go so deep into the history because we know where this stems from.
Right.
What I want us to do and to take away, and as people are listening in the chat, and I know there's people listening on the FYP, what I want the takeaway to be is, how do we as creators, because remember, the key component is whether you have 2 followers or 200,000 followers, and we have the gamut
Right.
just on this panel. What is going to be our responsibility? Or do we feel that we have a responsibility? Is it okay for me to be in a live and hear a Black man call another Black woman a bitch? Is it okay for me to be in a live and have a Black woman talking about ain't no good Black man out there, Black man ain't shit? Or is it my responsibility as a Black woman to call out the behaviors of all, regardless of your gender? You will not disrespect my Black kings in my presence. You will not disrespect my Black queens in my presence. You might not agree with everything that she says. You may not agree with everything that he says. But what you're not gonna do is be disrespectful. What you're not going to do is be on here naked, shaking your behind, and Auntie Angel not draw attention and call you out for doing that. Because it is not enough likes or shares in the world for you to think it's okay for you to stand on your hands and shake your tail till somebody sees your vajayjay.
So, Angel, if I could.
Yes.
So, I think a lot of that behavior is encouraged on some platforms because that's what they built for their likes and their shares and their views. Have their lives already hit right on the head when it came to that. However, on my lives, because I can only look, and I'm trying to mute somebody on your platform. This is not my platform. On my live, they know the energy is not that. They know the disrespect is not going to be tolerated. The energy and the presence that I have is not allowed. There is nothing in my content or nothing in my lives that would make you think that that's how you're going to be able to talk to me or another woman or another man.
Right.
And do I always, I'm guilty. Do I always see all the comments? No, because, they filter our comments when you get enough people in the room. So some things I don't see. However, I'm calling it out every time. And for the women who say, oh, he just a simp, he pandering, for the men who say that, that's fine, baby, simp on me. Because there's no such thing as simping when you got a good woman that deserves to be treated well. Sorry, you've never experienced a good woman, baby. That's why you think everything is simp behavior. You just have never had it reciprocated. But stick around. Maybe you'll learn something and you'll be able to see it. That's how I call it out. When I see him say, oh, if he's a nerd, he's lame. Ooh, well, give me all the lames, baby. Any lames in the house that would love it?
Right. I'll take a nerd.
I'll take a nerd. Because I make light of it, but I will say, because, baby, them nerds was focused on their education in high school. They got very far in their continuous education. Those nerds are in IT and cybersecurity making $300,000, $400,000 a year. Give me a nerd, baby. Don't forget your glasses, baby, before you go to work.
Right.
So the things that women think that they want are not what they need. And I encourage women to understand that your needs is what's going to sustain you on into your 60s, 70s, and 80s. The things that you want today, that look good today, that you're chasing today, has no longevity. So if you want to just live for today, which is, to me, a huge problem in our community, people do not plan for tomorrow in any capacity. They think marriage is horrible. They're allergic to life insurance. Save. What does that mean?
Allergic.
Invest. If I can't see my money, I ain't doing it, because we have no
That part.
concept. We have no concept of what our future is supposed to look like. So telling a woman to pay attention to how great this lame is like telling her to invest so you can get a return in 10 years. They're not going to do it.
That's
And there
true.
are some men the same way. There are some men that will only pursue women that look a certain kind of way. And those same men are in my comments. Where can I find a woman like you, Ash? She in your office. She's the lady that speak to you every morning in the school drop-off line, but because she ain't got a 40-inch bust down with 7-inch nails and butterfly lashes, you ain't checking for. So don't come about what a good woman. I don't know. Y'all
What?
looking for them.
Like Angel, what do you mean?
Be low key. It's those. It's the low key crowd.
Hey, Frank Nitty. Hey, Frank Nitty. Now, this is your first time, I believe, in Conversations with Angel. Welcome in.
Angel, welcome
You
in.
need to be on camera,
You need to be on camera, sweetheart.
I'm coming, baby. Hold on.
Ashley, this is why
Yeah.
I love you to death.
Old man Frank here.
Frank,
I was
Frank,
thinking about
Frank.
He
gonna have to come back.
what I do.
You're echoing. Drop
Yeah,
and come
you're
back in.
echoing. Dropping. Come back in.
Okay, how I drop?
I'll drop you and then request to come back in. But what I was saying, Ashley, I love you for that. What you all are saying is amazing and very, very true. I think, though, particularly for a point that you made earlier, that your platform doesn't lend itself to that. Platform doesn't either. I don't condone that behavior. I might do some jokes and some funny little stitches or whatever, but you're not going to see me glorifying behaviors that are toxic to our community. What happens, though, unfortunately, is they creep their way in the live space.
They do.
The toxicity creeps its way in the comments. So oftentimes I might stitch a comment or reply to a comment with the bubble to let folks know that Angel don't get down like that. And there are some comments that I have had to block myself, that I've had to delete myself, because I've seen someone disrespect someone else on my platform. So the platform is guarded. But unfortunately, many of the people that's in this live, the 84 people that's here, is the choir. We have content creators that have 600, 700, 800 people in their lives, and they're arguing. They're combative. They are showing their privates. They're doing everything that fits the negative stereotypes of our community. Those are the content creators that, to me, need to be called out. Those are the ones. And some of the ones that sensationalize their position, I invited tonight. Oh yeah, Angel, yeah, I'm down with that. But they're not here. But if I was talking about BDSM, which I've talked about on my live, I did a 2-part. Had almost 5 lives. I've talked about the flirting and have had almost 1,000. I've talked about things that could be racy, and there's tons. Conversations After Dark. So are we for the community? People having their profile, end Black on Black crime. But are we for the community? Or are we hypocrites that are on the social media space to get likes and shares? Evans, what did you?
Yeah, I participate in quite a bit of that. I I cut my teeth in TikTok in spaces like that. Um, there's a place for it, believe it or not. TikTok is blood sport in some lives. If you go in there, you remember the arenas where the crowd is just going crazy, and you just have to pay attention to the adversary in front of you. You can't worry about. That's why when they say don't worry about what's being said in the comments, it's because you need to be concerned about me that's in front of you. I am the person that you need to worry about. All the others just fall. So um, the content creator is responsible to run their lives, run their platform in the manner in which they feel most comfortable. Now, understand, some content creators are here for nothing more than to have an exciting, large life. And if that is their goal, then they have achieved it. We can't really expect them to do things that they're here for. However, there's the other. Now, I've done lives where, in order to get a certain vibe in there, I'll put in the back body count, and it almost brings the numbers every
Right.
single time. Almost every
Absolutely.
time. Why? Because one, I'm very passionate about it. Period. It's not that I'm not faking it. I really want to drive that thought. I don't want to like. I don't want to be the thing where people just think just sleeping with any and everybody's okay. It's not, because it has a lasting effect on both men and women.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you say it to men, men don't really fight you on it because they understand what you're saying. Women, on the other hand, they go at you, and what ends up happening is you. And I'm just showing you how people get to. I want to do good for the community because that's the overall good. I have two daughters. I have no sons. Two daughters. I am very concerned about that activity and what they're seeing every day on everywhere. Right? It's not just TikTok. Everywhere. I'm concerned about that. So I have a vested interest to try to make a change. And when you bring the numbers in and people come at you day after day after day, it's only so long you can keep the big smile on your face until you come back and say, okay, I got something for you. Because just being, and women do it too, but being a man, you only could take so much until you come back and be like, hey, we can we can do it on your level. What you're seeing a lot of times
Yeah.
is what you're seeing a lot of times is the morphing of somebody wanting to do good, and over time they move into an area where it's hard to tell the difference between just a regular messy
Right.
to someone who's trying to do good. But I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out how do we call those people out, and more importantly, what is going to be the effect of calling them out? Because if they're getting paid TikTok money, they're getting paid, right? Um,
Yeah.
unless you have a
Yeah.
reason or an explanation why they should stop, it's not likely that they're going to stop doing it because they're benefiting from it, and they still in their mind think they're doing good in some ways. How do you call them out and think that's going to make a difference? That's why I don't do that for everyone. However, those people who are within my surroundings, the people who I have an affinity for, influence on, absolutely will do that every single time. And I'm not going to go call someone out that I don't know, and it's not likely to be successful anyway.
Interesting. I'm gonna come back to that, Evans. Frank Nitty. Hey, Coach Don. Frank Nitty. What say you? You went off camera.
No, I was trying to make sure. I listened to you all, and I was like, this is a pleasant chat. because I done been in some wild chats today.
Really?
God, it's been ugly. And it's been a lot of black women against black men against black women. I don't get it. Once I leave TikTok, I think people are pretty normal. I think it's an extra going on with TikTok where the people that have some strange position over there or some strange position over there and they got that for and they start talking on it. I think people are pretty normal outside of TikTok. It's stressing me out.
So
It
what
is.
is so you say normal.
Yeah. I can go up to
What
a
is
woman at
normal
Walmart.
though? Because
I can go up to a
it
woman in
seems
Walmart
uh-huh.
and she's looking at the produce, and I can say, "Hey, how you doing?" It's spark a conversation and get a phone. On TikTok, it's just, uh, I hate it.
I think there's an air of competition, but so here's why I ask what is normal, because on TikTok I've seen videos of people outside of TikTok acting a complete fool in Walmart. People acting,
Say normal.
and the cameras are there, and it's getting all of this. So it's still perpetuating the negative stereotypes that plague our community. So whether it's amplified. The buffoonery is amplified because everyone has a camera, because everyone has a cell phone. Everyone has a platform on social media, because on Facebook, for example, you have to have 1,000 followers to go live. You could go live with one friend. So every single person has a voice. What appears to be, the more people that you have following you, the more out of character people seem to get because of this nuance of power or perceived power or even celebrity.
I understand. I understand that is true, but I just I've been on a couple lives today, and it was so much bashing. I don't have no bash for nobody. I mean, shoot, you can sit there and bash the black woman. You can sit there and bash the black man, but
Right.
when it come down to it, when I'm in a real life TikTok, normal, they just
Where do
normal.
you live? Where do you live, Frank?
I'm
What part of the country are you?
Birmingham, Alabama. I'm sorry.
But
Alabama.
let me agree with Frank, but let me tell you why Frank is seeing what we consider normal. Because Frank, you're normal. So when you put out and I'm air quoting. So when you put out the energy of a grown man who, what did he say? She's looking at the pro. I want to introduce myself and have her phone number. These men are not doing that. These men
Right.
are, I don't know what they're doing, and the women are, he better not walk over here, or it's turned into an immediate
Yes.
fight.
Attitude.
So something I talk about on my platform all the time is, if you know me in real life, this smile is not fake. I am
Right.
randomly smiling throughout the day. God is amazing. Life is great my way. So it is very easy for me to be out and about. Hey, good morning, y'all. Hey, Black King, how you doing? I see you working hard. Don't work too hard today. It takes 2 seconds to say something kind to someone. So when they see me be approachable, I get that all the time. What Frank is talking about. Oh,
That's
what you cooking today? Because
that's
I'm with you on that. However, I agree with what Angel is saying. People are starting to believe that what they see on social media, what they see on reality TV is real life. And now they're bringing it off of
Right,
social media and putting it on real life. So if a man
right.
on a car, he don't take you on a $500 first date, I ain't dealing with him. That's not real life. And that's something that
That's right.
I talk all the time about. Not, and for Krista said something earlier. She's like, I don't know everybody's background. I'm a hairstylist. I've been a hairstylist for 17 years. All I do is talk to women all day. And the moment that they start, girl, I'm not gonna let no man do such and such. Wait a minute, wasn't you the same one that was just sleeping on your grandmama couch the other day? Oh, I don't think you that man what you are.
Right.
So even in my real world, I have no problem telling the women that are in my chair, hey, you're not right. That's not okay. How about we try this? How about we look in the mirror first? And I think it is very easy for people to get on social media and bash their counterparts because they don't want to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I messed that up. And it's easier for me to point the finger. Well, if he hadn't done, I can't make anybody do anything they don't do. I can only do it for me. So I
Absolutely.
encourage people to be accountable for them. If you know you have had a nasty attitude, ladies, fix it. If you know you are hurt, get in therapy. If you know you got baby daddy drama, go talk to somebody, let it go so you can move on. Otherwise, all that hurt from your past is going to continue to direct your present and your future. But it depends on what you want. Do you want marriage? Sure. You need to learn how to communicate and work with people. Marriage takes work every day. Do you want to be a hot girl until you're 55? Go be a hot girl, baby. That's you. And so for me, I don't waste my time talking to people who are not in alignment with what I want for my community. If you okay with just being baby mama, baby daddy, by all means, go over there and do that.
That's true, Justice.
But that's not what I'm wanting here. I want to see Black men and Black women unite again. I want to see the Black family be the new popular thing. I want to see that for us. And anything that is not in alignment with that, best of luck, baby. And you go over there. That just means
Right.
we
okay.
can't talk.
Okay.
Don P. Don P. Those of you that are just joining us tonight,
Give me 1
we are
second.
talking about
Give me 1 second.
Black men and Black women conflict. How can we be more accountable to one another? Should we be more accountable? Should we care? Now, I love every single creator that's in my panel tonight. I love Don P because Don pushes the envelope. He's completely honest. And one of the reasons why I wanted Don to come up is Don's Rules of Dating, part of his platform. He's been banned from TikTok. He was banned with over 100,000 followers. He's been bananaed at least 10 or 15 times. I think he has 30 accounts for telling the truth. Now, you may not agree with his rules of dating. You may not agree. But what I have seen as being a guest in his live, Black women have respected him, have said, I will never, ever date a man like you. I don't want to have anything to do with you. Call him out of his name, everything but a child of God. But then some of those very same creators will get on their platform and say, I'm looking for a man to be honest. I'm looking for a man who will just tell me the truth. I'm looking for a man who will wine and dine me. Now, Don's Rules of Dating, he buys very expensive gifts, first dates, very nice places. He just has an expectation after the third date. And I'm not going to get into all of those. But that's his expectation, and that's what
Right.
he wants.
You know, when we talk about truth and
Now
we
you
talk,
know I got to see that beard. What's going on?
I
What's
just got
going
out of some,
on?
I just got out of some cheeks, and I was in the shower, so
You know what? See,
that's
that's right there.
that's the truth.
That right
Uh,
there. That
that's the
right
truth.
there.
I'm not lying. I don't lie. I tell the truth.
This dude. I can't with
I was
him.
in some cheeks, so I took a shower real quick.
Look at Ashley.
That's why I was late. That's why I was late.
Okay, Dawn, thanks for sharing. Go ahead. Go ahead, Dawn.
Gotta handle
Yeah.
business first.
Other than that, I would get on camera, but
He's
see,
on
here's
it.
the thing. Here's the thing. I think that actually some of the people like Angel, and hello to everyone on the platform, and thanks Angel for inviting me. I think that we're making some progress. Um, I'm seeing progress with women 25 to about 29, and I'm seeing progress with women who are 40 and above. Um, to to um, to the last gentleman's point, who's in Alabama, you have a lot of TikTok influencers, creators who are telling men not to go and talk to women out in public. When you see us, don't come up to us, don't talk
Oh
to us,
wow.
don't say anything.
Mhm.
So, and I mean, they get millions of views. So, I coach men and women, and I can say that men have really drawn back from like talking to women out in public because, you have people on TikTok saying that men, you should not talk to a woman when you see her in the grocery store, when you see her in public, don't talk to her. So that's just one of the examples how what happens on TikTok spreads to real life
Yeah.
because I don't think that I've been in the tech industry for quite some time, and social media and the real life have become one and the same. That's why you have AI. That's why you have so many become one. The other thing that I will say about the dating world is twofold. Um, Things are not like when my mother and my father got married. My mom got married at 19. She's still together with my father 45 years later.
Wow.
It's not like it was. Now it's a situation where everyone is consistently looking to upgrade. You get with a person, and as long as everything is moving up, okay. As soon as things take a step back or it slows down, all right, now I'm gonna file for divorce. So it creates this revolving door of people that are going in and out of marriages, in and out of relationships. But when they come out of a relationship, and one of my dating rules is if you get out of a bad relationship, you say a man was narcissistic, you say he was toxic or a woman was toxic, then you need to go to therapy and you need to
Right.
sort your issues out before you could come back on. You're not even eligible to be out dating. You're not eligible,
Absolutely.
and we're not getting people taking care of their mental health, so they go through bad relationships and bad situations and they just jump into the next one and the next one and the next one. Now, as far as what Angel was saying about the expenditures of money on dates and things of that nature, I think the biggest problem that we've run into, especially now, is that before you can get to any of my dating rules, you need to be sexually attracted to the person that you're going to go out on a date with. We have a huge problem with this, and I mostly see it on the women's side, but men do it too. If you don't ever see being intimate with that person, if he ain't somebody that you can see ever being intimate, go out on a date.
Right.
Don't go out on a date. Because what's happening is these men are getting bitter because when a man invites a woman out on a date, it's because he has an attraction to her. It ain't because he wants to have a
Right.
great conversation with her. It's not because he wants to discuss the Ukrainian conflict with her. That's not why men invite women out on dates. So what happens is a woman is sitting at home, she's bored, the man that she really wants doesn't want her.
Hmm.
Then the other man reaches out and said, "Hey, I'm going to Roof Chris tonight. I'd like to take you on a date." She ain't doing anything else. So she's going to go on this date. And when she does go on that date, that man is expecting that this woman is into me, when in actuality, she was just bored and she shouldn't be on that date in the first place. So we can stop a lot of the hurt and pain on both sides. Now, men do it all the time. Let me tell you what men do, which sucks now. And social media has made this come to life. There's a lot of pregnant people from social media who met on social media. A lot. So this is what happened with men. They draw in the women, right? It might not be the type of woman that they are attracted. So that she's in a relationship with that man because he goes over there after the club at 2:37 in the morning, or he goes over there on a Tuesday night at 11:30 because there's nothing else to do. They lay up together, they watch movies, they hang out, laugh and joke. But then when Valentine's Day come around, he's ghost for 3 days. When the holidays come around, you can't find him. And she wonders why he ain't never actually took her on a real date. Because he does not want to be seen with her in public. So before you can even get to my dating rules, we have to fix the problem of people actually attracted to in the first place, because that is causing a lot of people to be angry.
Right.
And
I agree, Dee Dee.
Yeah.
That is so true. I mean, there are no lies told right there. And then what happens is, so those unhealed people get on social media and talk about black men ain't shit, black women ain't shit. They get on this space and spew all of their hurt and their pain and make it the gospel, instead of being real and honest and saying, this is what happened, this is what I did, this is what I'm doing to fix and prepare it. And I've got friends on here, because I don't like followers and fans. I don't like using that word because I'm just a mom. But I've got friends that are of other cultures, and I've sat in on their lives. I have not been in any life where the Asian woman is talking negatively about an Asian man. I've never been on a European American. I've never been in their life when the woman is talking negatively about the man and vice versa. I've never been in a Hispanic. I've never been in any other culture's lives when they're arguing, talking over each other, disrespecting each other, except for my melanated friends and family on social media. Why is that? Yes, GD and Mari, are you there, sweetheart? You have to be on camera, sweetheart.
I'm here.
So it goes back to your original question about accountability. We don't really know what that is. We know what responsibility is, not accountability. So think about what the gentleman just said a minute ago. He said his rule is don't go out if there's no attraction. I 100% agree with that. We live in a world where all of us think that whoever I like should like me back. And if you don't like me back, then you don't see my worth. That's not true. We live in this world where we're so set on expectation that we fail to miss what actually is a standard. A standard is for you. It's what you set in your own personal life, and you live your life at that standard, and then you reflect what you expect. But the problem is that we are projecting all the expectations on other people, and then we're leaving disappointed. You talk about the amount of hurt that exists in people. Well, people do what? Hurt people because they become the hurt that consumes them, and they don't see a way out of that hurt because instead of going to therapy and being healed, like most of us should be healing and not dating. But what does healing require? Healing requires some intentional introspection onto me. So therefore, I don't have anybody else to blame this hurt on. I have to now embrace my accountability in this, and that's what we don't want to do because across social media, what has happened is that instead of character, we look at currency. So therefore, instead of liberation, we look
Mm.
at likes. When the reality is, we all need to be liberated from this toxic way of thinking, but nobody really wants to be free because we don't know either what it means to be an independent thinker, or we lack the motivation to be an independent thinker because it is easy to fall into the norm, and it is easy to go with the status quo because I could be just like everybody else. And again, when you are rewarded again for toxicity, when you are rewarded for being ratchet, when you are rewarded for falling in the stereotype, then what is the profit of man to gain the world, lose his soul? We will always sometimes fall into what is popular as opposed to what is purposeful. Because again, a lot of us lack a real standard. Even as content creators, I think that if all of us decided that, you know what, my standard for my show should match my standard in life. If we
Yes.
did that, then as Ashley pointed out earlier, her show doesn't draw a certain kind of personal attention because of how she conducts that show. And I think
Wow.
that even in our personal lives, if we allowed our personal lives to spill over into every other part of our lives and kept it 100% real, that would stop a lot of the attention that is on these real life nobodies who have gotten on social media, gotten a large following because you are playing a character that you really can't be in real life. You got
Right.
social media convincing you that yeah, you the world's best,
Woo.
whatever. But in real life, you're lonely. That is why you've got so much time for social, because you probably aren't
Yes.
working. You probably aren't making money outside of social media. So now social media gives you the opportunity to now be what? An actor. And you are playing a part on
Mm.
the drama
Absolutely.
of TikTok, the drama of Facebook, the drama of social media, and you have become something by yourself, alone in a room, that you cannot be outside of the four walls of your house because you don't have the skills, you don't have the integrity, you don't have the motivation to actually be that person in real life. So we are actually rewarding some folk for doing what? Being lazy. Being lazy. And that is what is happening across the board. I'm gonna say this last point and be done. In the 80s, we had crack babies, right? Now we have a different kind of drug addict. Now we have those who have an addiction to dopamine, serotonin,
Yes.
oxytocin. And that
Yes.
is why a lot of this generation has dangerous behavior because when you do things like, let's say when you are compulsive in your sex life or just dangerous stuff, well, what happens? It makes you feel good and your dopamine levels go up. Oxytocin levels go up. So why? So you only know how to get high like that. So all this makes you feel a certain type of way that it makes all your hormonal levels go to a certain point to make you functional, to make you feel good. So it boils down to, again, what is the integrity of the man? What is the integrity of the woman? What do we really want
Mm.
to even accomplish, even on social media? Do I want likes or do I want liberation? Is character important or is currency important? Because that's what it really, really boils down to. And until we can start calling a thing, and it has to first start with us, because we have to figure out who we want to be in this world and even on social media. And I'm done.
I love it. I love it. Before we go to Krista and Ashley, Mari has been waiting so patiently. What would you like to add, sweetheart? And welcome to Conversations with Angel.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to sit among all these kings and queens. It's such a pleasure. Thank you. You guys have basically said it all. I just want to add a little dot on top and cross a little T here and there.
Yes.
First of all, my encouraging words to the queen are, whatever you're taught, however passionate you are, I promise you, the elder women always tell the truth. When you're 50, you won't care. You'll lock your doors, you'll get a smart lock, and you'll let everybody else figure it out. But
Right.
I wanted to address the coach and the gentlemen who are on here. You guys said some very powerful stuff. Uh, but what I wanted to add to that was this, and thank you so much for saying the kind words that you said. As an Afro-Latina woman, I definitely have to say I was raised by African-American women. So I'm Afro-Latina, but having come to America at a young age, in the inner city, African-American women, when I went outside to play, those were the women that were raising me. And so I love it because it connected me back to my roots and I could always fit in, right? But I just wanted to speak to the solution because there's so much time that we can give to the problem, right? And I feel, and this is just my opinion, everyone's welcome to disagree. You know, we don't all have to agree. But for me, I think that we just put too much time into the problem. Coach, you had mentioned that you were in IT, right? I myself too, I work in IT. One of the things that you probably can identify with, I don't know exactly IT, but if it's one thing that we know in IT is that think tanks do not sit people greater than 10. So big decisions take place in small rooms, right? When we go to think tanks, as an innovator, I'm a brand ambassador. I am not used to being in rooms with more than 10 people. Okay, so when it comes to solutions, you should not be looking in rooms of 600 people. The Discord is the daycare. We call that the daycare center. That's where we go to pitch our sales and make money. That's not where you go when you go to be innovative. So I feel that in our community, what we're not seeing enough successful people having courage to leave people behind. Okay, when are we going to take the little bit of women that we have? Women, we are the most educated women in the country. Brown women, applaud yourselves. We went out and did it. And I love that you mentioned, I believe, JD, you mentioned the 80s. You mentioned the crack era, right? The crack era is the reason why the women are educated now. There were so many men who dropped the ball. They left us in the trenches. And what would we do? We do what women do. We figured it out. And so now we are here with our millennial children. They saw what we had to go through. And the millennial children, what they want is answers. They want to know, why did mom go through what she went through, right? Explain that one to me and don't offend me because now I have a voice. Now I have an opinion just because mom made sure that I went and got educated so that I didn't have to go through what she went through. So I think that we're not respecting history the way that we've seen it happen, right? At the end of the day, we are always going to support our kings. I don't care what we go through. We talk amongst ourselves and we will say our opinions to our men, right? But let some other culture come in the room. The conversation is over and women get on their ground. What are you talking about? What do you mean? What did you say about our black man? This nation has nothing to do. You know what I'm saying? We understand there's a time and a place for everything, but I think, and my opinion is that it's going to start with just the right amount of people leaving everybody else behind. Get in that mentality. You either catch up and get caught up or you get left behind. It's not until the right people leave everybody else behind before somebody is going to say, hey, how did you get there? Right now, nobody's leaving nobody behind. And so there's not a compass. There isn't anything as brown people that we can measure and say, hey, Elon, Anna, Mama, how did you get there? Mark Zuckerberg.
I want to interject for just a second, Maria, and touch on something that I'm an accountant by profession, and so numbers is my thing. That's my thing. So I'm always looking at studies and percentages and statistics. And Don said in the chat, it was the Pookies and the Ray Rays that left us behind. And that is very, very true. Because according to a Pew study, 75% of married Black men were married to Black women. Okay. Now, in recent years, and contrary to popular belief, it just touches on what you said in terms of the abandonment, the percentage was even higher for college educated Black men and those who earned over 100,000, those six figures that we're saying is not out there. According to a Howard University research study, the statistics are almost 80% higher. So the men that abandoned us are the undereducated, the uneducated, and low earning men. Now, why is that point important? That point is important because we are passing up on, and we talked about this earlier, we're passing up on the simps, as they're called, and the nerds that these women are talking down about. We're passing up on them, and we're seeing a decline. And many of those men are now starting to go to other cultures because they're not being appreciated by Black women. Most Black men want and love Black women. And I can honestly say most, because I truly believe. But unfortunately, we are allowing the rhetoric of the minority that do not want Black women. We're letting their voices be louder than what statistically is actually happening in our culture. And when we do that, what we're basically saying is, piss on you, Black man, because I'm going to allow the Pookies and the Ray Rays, whose voices are much smaller, to be louder than yours, and you're the ones who are respecting us. Another point I want to make is, someone mentioned in the chat, it's the rap culture. I disagree. Yes, there are rap songs that denigrate, that disrespect Black women, but genres of music in country, in rock, in club, in house, there are across the gamut genres of music that disrespect women, Black, white, purple, and green. So I think that rap music, and I don't particularly care for rap music, but I think rap music is an excuse that's being overused. And the more we call it out, whether it's rap music, whether it's country music, whether it's talking on social media, we need to stop sugarcoating the real issue. And the real issue is this competition amongst our race as it relates to gender. Women are moving and flowing in masculine spaces and masculine energy without the ability to be able to balance that. Yes, Miss Ashley.
If I could, I would like to just say one thing before
Yes.
I've been up since 4:30 this morning, and I don't want to.
Bless it.
So you said something earlier about when you're in other lives, Asian, Hispanic, European, they don't talk about each other the way that we do. Here's my opinion. Now, I know not everybody is motivated by money, and I want to make sure I say this clearly. When you have a culture or a ethnic group that understands that we are building for generations to come, and I am trying to put my family together because I watched my great-grandmother, grandmother, mother, I watched how it benefited them. This is what I want for my children. Why would I speak ill about the man that I'm trying to create a family with? So I'm not going to do it. Even when they don't like each other. There are Europeans that can't stand each other, but they are business partners because they
Right.
understand we have to get this money together, continue to build this generational wealth because we got kids to take care of. It does not matter what your personal opinion is, as long as we are meeting the goals that we need to meet to get to where we're trying to go, we're going to keep moving. Now, like both of Angel and Mari,
Marty.
like they said, I'm solution based too. And what did I say earlier? Not everybody's going.
Right.
And if you are not trying to go in the direction that I'm trying to go, that's totally okay. You stay over there.
Right.
But for the women and the men that want to reunite, that want to learn how to communicate, I want to hear these Black men. So when they talk to me, I'm listening. Now, I don't have to agree, but what can I take from that conversation so we both can be better to move forward? That's it. But for me,
Absolutely.
I know where I'm coming from, and I want to see the change that my 2-3 generations before me didn't get an opportunity to do. If it is not going to get me where I'm trying to go, why am I spending energy on it? I will tell you a problem, but I'm going to offer you a solution at the same time. And then you're going to see me actually working. Look, I'm doing it. Just follow my lead. That's why my TikTok name is what it is, Life in the Ash Lane. Just come follow me. I'm already 2, 3, 4 steps ahead. Just follow me. Use me as a guide. That doesn't mean that I know everything. That just means where I've already fallen and made mistakes, you don't have to make the same mistakes as I do. But ultimately, for me, I feel like this. Every other culture understands we have somewhere we're trying to go. We have goals that we're trying to meet. How I feel about you today, I know it's going to change tomorrow, in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, but these goals are not. What we are going to need to continue to be successful in our community is not going to change, no matter how I feel about you today. So let's keep that as the focus. We don't keep, we don't have any goals. The goal is to look good, drive good, see how many women I can smash, see how many men I can scam out of their money. We don't have any long-term.
Right.
And like I tell women all the time, you think scamming a man out of a bag or a trip is the real come up. No, the real come up is marrying them and getting that pension and 401k after y'all done been together for 40 years.
Absolutely.
I want the pension money. But that's because I love you and we've built together. Like, let me throw a little piece in there.
Right. We're still together.
Yeah, we're still together. But nobody in our community, there's a small amount of people that know how to plan for their future, and they understand they have to plan for long terms, and it's going to require you to make short-term sacrifices to have long-term gain. If you don't want to do that, like Mari said, they get left behind. And then we ignore them. You're never going to change their mind. You're not going to be able to shift until they are ready to do something different. We can't spend energy on them because, like everybody has said, we have talked the problem to death. What's the solution? Listen to each other, get some common goals, delegate the task out, and everybody get to work. If it ain't that, don't talk to me.
Right. And so before you go, because I know you're tired, you've got little ones, your homework, everybody's going to get home. Y'all know Conversations with Angel. Your homework is to continue to spread the positivity that you spread from your platform, and to promote smaller creators that are spreading positivity, because unfortunately their following isn't growing as fast because they're not contentious, they're not brash, they're not arguing, they're not twerking. So we need to pick them up. If their message is positive and they're spreading positivity, follow them and share their content so that someone else can follow them. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for allowing me on the panel.
Absolutely.
I want to ask, can I ask Ashley something before she goes, Angel? Angel, I want to ask you this, because one of the things that stood out in GD and Coach Dom's conversations, they kept saying therapy. And of course, I'm a therapist. So one thing I want to ask you before you go is, how do you think that we you, all of us, can normalize therapy? How can we promote, hey, don't be on TikTok 5 or 6 hours, invest that time in getting this together?
Yeah.
Because if we start with us in therapy, getting our shit together, then we can have better relationships. We got to have a better relationship with ourselves. How would you think that we can help to normalize therapy?
Very simple. When your car is in repair, in disrepair, do you try to fix it yourself or do you take it to the mechanic? If your
Yeah,
arm,
but see,
but hold
but
on.
that's different though for people.
No, it's not. Because when your arm is hurting and you don't know why it's hurting, don't you go to the doctor? If you don't know anything about fixing your HVAC, don't you call an HVAC specialist? Unless you have had training and education to understand why your mind works the way it works, you need a subject matter expert. You don't know how to do it. So instead of everybody believing that they are beyond reproach, like I got it. Okay, ma'am, you've been having it, right? And it ain't worked for you. Try something that you've never tried before. If you continue to make the same choices and you continue to get the same results, maybe you should try something different. So like I tell, and I won't say no names, but if I was to show y'all my DMs, it's not, people think the DMs are full of men trying to holler. It's men telling me I just don't know what to do. Baby, I don't either in your situation. So I need you to go find a therapist. And so many black men will say, well, I ain't finna lay up on nobody's couch. I said, it's 2023, baby. They talking on cell phones now.
Right.
You get a telehealth appointment and sit in your car on your lunch break. Nobody would ever know you went to a therapist. Make it a secret. Go get the help that you need. You'll sneak off to these adult stores and get your help. You'll sneak off and go get one of them blue pills. I need you to sneak off and go talk to somebody. And that's it.
Right.
Nobody ever has to know. Get the help that you need by any means necessary so you don't pass on that trauma to your children and the next generations. You are the one holding yourself back from your growth because you don't want to pause for a second and realize you need help. And if they go get help, I've had a few men, hey, I've been to 4, 5, 6 sessions. Thank you, because I wouldn't have never done it without you. You're welcome, love, and I'm so proud of you.
Right.
That's it.
And normalize it. It's not just the examples that you gave, you know, when you hear something with your car, your arm, it's a checkup. You get a physical every single year for your body, I hope. Men getting prostate exams, women getting breast exams.
They don't.
You can go whether you have a problem or not, just to get a checkup. Get your mind checked on, just to make sure. Because here's the thing, every black person that is in this country has residual mental health trauma from the period in which we were enslaved. It is in our DNA, and it is going from generation to generation, and you got to have someone that's not biased in your ear. GD raised another point. Church folk need to stop judging people that go to therapy. God gave us therapists, he gave us doctors, and yes, pray, but you better pray and go see your therapist at the same time.
So I'm going to say this and I'm gone. The same use prayer, look, that faith without works is dead. How can you pray for God to fix something and you not doing your work? He has given us the resources to do the work. That's it. But therapy should be normalized. My therapist, her name is Miriam. Now, I don't talk to her every week, every other week like I used to when I was first in my healing journey. We only talk once a month, maybe once every other month. But she on speed dial if I ever need her. And I encourage everybody to have a relationship, because before I make an emotional based decision, before I do something because I know I'm out of whack, I'm gonna go talk to somebody who got some degrees behind their name that hurt that we cause ourselves because we don't want to get that help. I thank you guys.
Yes. Thank you,
everyone.
Ashley.
Y'all have a good night, okay?
You too, sweetheart. Will has been waiting so patiently. He's made some amazing comments in the chat. I want to hear from you, Will.
That's right.
If this was your first time on Conversations with Angel, you've got to come on camera. You got to come on camera, please. If you're driving, I understand. I totally get it if you're driving, but if you are not, please turn your cameras on. Hello, Will. How are you, darling? Conversations.
Great. I'm not driving, but not camera ready. Put it that way.
So you doing the same thing as Don, I guess? Don just still in the shower, the tub, or whatever.
Yeah, I was getting ready for bed. Then I realized, why are we going to bed so early? It was only 9 o'clock. So, yeah, no, it's a lot of good information being shared in the panel. I appreciate one, the positive nature of the conversation, right? It's not contentious and a lot of debate. I am one of those channels that you spoke about. I don't trust TikTok. I don't trust the algorithm. I believe it promotes negativity and divisiveness amongst black women. I believe that in my core, of course. It's just way too obvious. But what I try to do with my channel is this: speak to men and speak to my experiences. Right, a lot of the conversation is being spoke across the aisle at the opposite gender. Right, so what I try to do is teach. Use my experience and teach men, and also in hopes I'll catch some women to pick up on what I'm saying about the male experience and understand the why. I believe it was GD that used the word heal. And I remember in a conversation with my wife, we often have just chats, you know what I'm saying, about relationships. We watch the popular dating shows, by the way, Love and Marriage, Huntsville, uh, all those shows. And afterward, it always leads into, these conversations about relationship and marriage. And I remember telling her one day, I said, babe, I really don't like the word heal. So I wasn't going at GD, but when you're
Mhm.
speaking to men, I don't like the word heal because it doesn't lend itself to having action items behind it. We haven't quantified what heal means. So when I'm talking to men, I talk in construction terms. There's deconstruction and reconstruction, right? You need to deconstruct some old bad thought processes and patterns and reconstruct those with healthy uh, process and pattern. So that speaks to
Mhm.
part of that is therapy. So I am a proponent. I'm a retired Marine, and my wife, who's my forever wife, but also I was married 16 years before, on year 6 this time. But prior to getting married, she noticed some behaviors in me, and she recommended, hey, you know this is happening when this happens. Do you know that? And it was a means of protecting me. And what really woke me up was she asked me, she asked me one day, was I okay? And when she asked me, was I okay, it was like a bomb went off. So immediately I had a panic attack, and I collapsed on the floor, and I
Oh
knew
wow.
then something was on. So that kind of started me on my path to therapy. So I go to CBT now, even to this day, through the VA, cognitive
Okay.
behavior therapy. So it makes me
Mhm.
self-aware of my thought processes and patterns. So I'm aware of how I'm thinking. I am a PK also, so I had to recognize that the church taught me what to think, not how to think. It taught me
Mhm.
what to think, not how to think, how to put
Yep.
things in the proper space and categorize them, to not lend something, not make what they call it mountains out of molehills, right? Not to
Mhm.
follow the negative path towards down this negative pattern of thoughts, this kind of Pandora's box of negative thoughts, right? To recognize, hey, this is negative, stop myself in my tracks, and either one, ask for help from my wife and say, hey, I'm struggling right now. This is going this way, or pull myself out of that. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to real fast run down the things that I cover on my channel for men and why we struggle in the things we struggle with, right? So,
Yes.
and if I hope this helps some of the ladies understand it, but also to speak to some of the men that don't have language to give to this. The very first thing that I speak about is the self-actualization process for men. We talk about relationships, talk about marriage, and what we don't recognize with some of these men, especially on this app, there's about 4 or 5 generations of men on this app, right? So you're talking to some 20-year-olds that we're qualifying as men, and they're still in the oven, self-actualization oven.
Yes.
Men don't self-actualize until they're about 35 years old plus.
Yes.
And that's a general accepted standard. We don't hit self-actualization till about 35 plus. That's where you know who you are, your place in this world. You've established boundaries for yourself, morals, values, and principles around those boundaries, and how you govern yourself. How you govern yourself, your morals, values, and principles, what you accept about yourself, your own integrity, your commitment to life, right? I'll take another step back. The very first thing we don't go through or we don't discover in that process is our gift, our passion. Why are you here?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Why are you here? You have to find what you love doing and you live your life out of that passion. So what happens is we get in a relationship, right? Or we get married and we get married to a woman, and now we're working for money and paying bills from a job that we resent the job. We resent the woman because now I got to pay bills from a job I don't even like. I'm working for money, not out of my passion. And then we add kids to the mix and we look around and we're miserable. We're miserable because
Wow.
we got out of the oven way too early. Now, listen, I'm not talking as a novice. I'm talking as somebody with 21 years, going on 22 combined marriage experience. We get out of the oven too early and we take on this responsibility, and we're living. That's why y'all see men who, career wise, a lot of times, or some you might find them, they're all over the place, right? They're dreamers this week. I want to be IT guy this week. I want to be a rapper next week. I want to be. They haven't they haven't discovered who they are,
Mm.
and now you've taken on all this large responsibility, and then you don't know who you are. You haven't established your boundaries, your MVPs, or none of that. I call it MVPs, morals, values, and principles. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know where your
Mm-hmm.
berries are, and then that's just for men. But us as people, human beings in general, I always encourage people to do this, but they never do it. But I'm gonna keep teaching it. Do me a favor as black people, go and study. And this came directly from the throne for me. Nobody did this. I remember hearing this word in my sleep, and when I went and looked at it and started studying it, I was like, wow. Go study symbiosis and laws of symbiosis, right? Study the degrees of relationship. Now, whatever you Google is going to associate symbiotic relationships and laws of symbiosis to nature, right? That of a whale and a minnow, right? But the highest form of symbiotic relationship is mutualism, which is where the relationship is mutually benefiting on both sides, right? There's mutualism, there's commensalism, there's parasitism, which you can probably that's what that means. Parasitism is when one person is just parasiting off the
Mm-hmm.
other person in a
Yeah.
relationship. And then the lowest forms of relationship is comparatism and competition. So when you get to the place where you're competing and comparing yourself to your partner, you in trouble. You
Right.
in trouble. But if we understood the degrees of relationship and we aim for mutualism in our relationship, then there's less likely the chance that you would get hurt because you know, hey, I'm getting everything that I require out of a relationship or a marriage, and I'm giving my partner everything that they require. And this is the big challenge for me even to this day because my wife is a doer. She's not going to ask any questions. She's just going to get up, take to her task list. And before I even got up, she'd have knocked out 30 things. And I'm like, bruh, how do I keep up with that? But I still strive towards mutualism because I don't want to feel I don't want her to feel like the relationship is imbalanced. Now, I'm a, high 6-figure earner and all that stuff, and I can sit on my laurels and rest on that and take her for granted. But to me, that's still no excuse. That's just me. That's my standard. It's still no excuse. And she doesn't have to work, but she chooses to. She likes making money. So I'm saying, okay, you're working too, then let me try, at least attempt to beat her to these tasks. So those are some of the things that I talk about, and I really wish we could get, because they're solution based. They cause us to think and reconstruct
Right.
our thinking, and that's what helped me get ready to remarry. So
And that's
really,
one of the reasons why it was important for me to have this topic and this live. And I know that I know Don for sure. I've been in his lives, and he talks about normalizing therapy and making certain that you are complete and you're whole. And I knew that you weren't necessarily saying that or disagreeing with GD. I don't particularly care for the word healing, because oftentimes I believe is used as a crutch, and it causes people to rest in that space. So one of the things that people on my platform have heard me say is, you go through a healing process, but don't stay there. You go through an evolution, and you
right,
continue to evolve from where you were before. And so you shouldn't be saying that you're healing and you've been out of that relationship 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 5. You need to, just like a cut, once it develops a scab, you can pull the Band-Aid off. It's healing to the point where you can't see it, but now it's evolving into something else.
right,
You can be in a productive relationship with a man or with a woman going through that evolution process. Many people don't take the time to go through that evolution, and they get on social media, they get in platforms like this, and they regurgitate their pain. So much so that the conversations are combative.
right.
No one is listening to each other. No
Now, I want to speak
one
to,
is no one is forget about solutions. You can't even identify the problem if you're not even listening to someone. And so we need to get people to a point, particularly in our culture, that not only are we listening to one another, but we're understanding one another, and stop hearing people prepping your response for what you're going to say next, but really understanding what we are saying. I heard some creators talking about likes and dislikes, standards and preferences, or what have you. There was a man on the platform that said, I do not like women that wear fake hair. I do not like women that wear those long eyelashes. I don't like for women to wear a lot of makeup. I like natural women. Okay. That's fine. That's what he likes. The women on that platform, that particular live, ripped him a new one because they may wear those things. And I stepped in and said, that is his preference.
Right.
Then you know that that's not somebody that you're going to date. But you're being disrespectful. You're calling him out because he doesn't like this. Women that say, I want a 6-figure man that's 6 feet with 6 inches or whatever. If you know you don't meet that category, why are you calling her her name? She's not the woman for you. There's someone out there that wants her. We've got to stop taking everything personally when someone indicates their preference, and stop generalizing everything all the time. It's not about you.
no, those are
But
important
you know
points,
what,
especially.
Angel? Oh,
I was going to say I was going to say what you said about healing too. I can say this from experience, right? I think it's more about the integrity about your process versus you being perfect, right? As you're going through your reconstruction process, right? So I'll give you case in point, and it's all up to the individual and the person you with what they have the capacity to deal with, right? Um, uh, I use this expression all the time. Even the Bentley has blind spots, right? The most expensive vehicle has blind spots. It took, and this is how I knew my wife was a wife. Um, it took her revealing those blind spots to me and say, "Hey, bro, like, you know what I'm saying? This is a thing right here." You know what I'm saying? And so instead of me getting offended and defensive, um, which is a work, it's a work in progress, right? Um, Instead of me getting defensive, I begin to work on those things,
Mhm.
and there was things through that her patience allowed me to reconstruct in those areas, and I do a lot better with them now because she helped serve and reconstruct my thought process on that. So it's your willingness as an individual. It's just not men, it's women to say, okay, yeah, that is me. Be integral about it and say, yeah, I'm tripping. And
Yes.
admission is the first step. You know what I'm saying? In that process. But again, I appreciate y'all platform, what you're doing right
Absolutely.
here. Definitely follow for me because I love the positive energy.
Oh, thank you. And please follow all of the creators that's been on the panel. GD, I see your hand and I know you're itching to say something.
So I actually agree with everything that was just said. I wanted to say the reason why I use the word healing. The reason that I use the word heal is because, to the gentleman's point, I think we have a bad relationship with the word healing. Because to your point, Angel, some people have used it as a means of a crutch. And you can't always be stuck in this pain. But I think that for me, the understanding of healing comes from a faith perspective. My thing is, Jesus would always ask people, "Do you want to be whole?" The choice is ours, whether we want to heal or not. But Jesus also asked that man by the pool of Bethesda. He said, "Take up your mat and walk," meaning
Wow.
that part of your healing means that now you have to carry what you used to lay on, and that is what healing looks like. It is to deconstruct, as the gentleman said, those past things from the past that used to have you shackled and bound. But until we have that conversation, even as men, about what healing looks like, and we have to take the the fear of existing in something that sounds feminine away. Healing sounds feminine, and that is why, as men, we are sometimes afraid to say that word. But the truth of the matter is, we are broken in a lot of areas. And until I'm able to come to a point of again taking up my mat and being able to walk forward now, meaning that I will always have a connection to what happened. But now I'm strong enough to where I can pick it up. It exists because it was there. It will always exist. But I now have the strength to exert authority over it. So now I am either not triggered or less triggered by this thing. Learn how to not be bound by this fear or bound by that pain. That pain will always exist, but I make a decision. I'm strong enough now not to live in it, not to exist in it. I think until we as men start having these conversations in the barbershop, because again, we pass by
Mm.
a lot of things in the barbershop. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, when I retire, I'm gonna either be a barber or a bartender because both of those individuals have a lot of power over the way that men think. And to
Mm-hmm.
that point that was made earlier
Yes,
by
indeed.
the preacher's kid, he was so spot on when he said it is about teaching people how to think and not what to think. And I think that as men, some of us, not all, are so afraid of again talking about femininity and learning that there is some feminine in us and it's okay. Like the yin and the yang. has a dot of the other in each other. So I think as men, we have to realize there are some softer things about us that we have to learn how to submit to and realize that it's okay
Yes.
because I
Practical.
need to submit to it. I need to yield to it. I need to understand that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be able to
Mhm.
admit that it's okay. To the therapist point, you know, to get people in her office, we have to start having the conversation about what therapy is, what it looks
Yes.
like,
Mhm.
and how healthy it
Mhm.
can be. I think everybody need a therapist.
Yes.
Everybody. You know,
Everybody.
a therapist needs to have them a therapist because we
Yeah.
all
I'm a
go down
therapist
some
with a
heavy
therapist.
stuff. Yeah, like life itself is just so heavy sometimes that we need a little bit of help navigating
Yeah.
through this space and through what I'm going through because it's hard
Yeah.
to see the light at the end of the tunnel when I'm in the middle. And a lot of us are stuck in the middle of something, in the
Yes.
middle of life, in middle age, in the middle of a situation. And I can't see the end,
Tap, tap,
but
tap.
I'm so far past the beginning that I'm lost in this moment and really need somebody to come and find me where I'm at.
Mhm.
Because sometimes
Mhm.
I'm too afraid to move forward, but I know I can't
Right.
turn back. So
Yes,
I need
Right.
Lord.
somebody to grab me by the hand and to help me navigate forward when I can't see this. And
Right.
that's why I use that word healing or heal because it's the appropriate
Yeah.
word for me, but it speaks to wholeness.
Right. Right.
Absolutely. Krista.
Yes. Oh, GD, I love what you just said. I absolutely love it. Like I said, I'm a therapist who has a therapist. And I just want to say that, and I have to go, Angel, but I just wanted to say this right quick. This has been an awesome conversation.
Thank you,
Thank you
darling.
for inviting me. Um,
Absolutely.
my goal is as a therapist is to normalize therapy. And I always say I think therapy is sexy. When you say you
Yes.
got a therapist, you sexier to me, right? But
Exactly.
when we're talking about the conflict of black men versus black women, and I'm talking about just as a whole, not social media.
Hmm.
I just want to say this in parting. The one thing that I think that we can do as women is if we started really living in our feminine energy and
Yes.
being the backbone that we're supposed to be for our men and stop. One thing that Ashley said about the different cultures, we have to realize that we're on the same team. And I know you've been married before too, Angel, and I've
Hmm.
been married
Yes.
before. I'm married. I'm on my second marriage. One thing that I had to learn is that even though we have differences and we have conflict, you have to remember you're on the same team.
Right.
If you understand and you have the foundation of, okay, you know what, we're different people, we have different opinions, we're gonna have conflict. Healthy relationships do have conflict. They just know how to navigate through the conflict. But if we as women, and I'm talking about what we women can do,
Right.
is if we start to operate more in our feminine energy. And me at 53, Angel, I'm learning that I've had to do that more.
Yes.
I'm in a place of restoration with my current husband. And I remember months ago, you had mentioned something about feminine energy, And I said, you know what? We got to stop this rhetoric of be a strong black woman and blah, blah,
Yes.
blah, blah, blah. Because then where does that leave the man? A real man, they want to be needed.
Right.
And as a real woman, I have to know, okay, I got to know my place. And I don't mean, like sit down, shut up, sit in the corner, but
Right.
know my place as a woman. And I believe that by taking care of ourselves and really promoting our feminine energy, we will naturally step back and give that man that platform and that space to be all these things that we say we want them to be.
Right.
So I think that, we women, we're powerful. We have great influence over men, but we got to learn how to play the game.
Right.
We got to
Absolutely.
learn how to
My
play
I
the
my
game.
agree.
And
therapist friend,
I think that we could, huh?
my therapist friend. I
Uh-oh.
just I want to say something on the point you just said about handing over that that space, right? The placing the crown on your man's head as a king, right? Not on
Hmm.
it's not just once you step into it, right? When you realize or have a revelation that this is something I need to do and it's going to draw the king out of him. But understand,
Yes.
even in that, he's going to grow through. He's going to go through a learn process, especially as a leader. One of the things that used to terrify me as a young husband is making mistakes. I got married the first time at 22, making mistakes
Oh
with
wow.
a wife and a child. Um, and the whole premise of depending on your background and your history, right? The whole premise of
Mhm.
submission, right? If you
Mhm.
prescribe to that,
Mhm.
right? For our believers out
Mhm.
there, or
Mhm.
non-believers that believe in submission, right? It's not
Mhm.
it's not just submitting to my victories and my successes, because if you're patient and long suffering long enough, we're going to have victories, right? And if we become a good enough
Mhm.
team, we're going to have
Mhm.
victories. But it's not it's
I
not
agree.
really submission until you're around for those mistakes too, right? You see me make those mistakes and you ride with
Right.
me, right? It's
Right.
not that you suffer um through abuse or nothing like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm
Right.
not talking about infidelity and stuff like that. But as a human being, as a leader, as men, you're gonna make mistakes. I made so many mistakes as a
Mhm.
young father and husband. I'm especially financially, and
Mhm.
it's no worse feeling in the world than letting your wife and your kids down. And I'm gonna tell y'all the reason why the real reason why that marriage ended, and it was I don't mind being transparent. It was 2014 that it was finalized. It's because as recent as 2014, the conversation about mental health and therapy wasn't it was still taboo back then. And so
Mhm.
both myself and my ex-wife, we weren't able to recognize the state I was in. I
Mhm.
had been in like dealing with like severe depression for like a whole year and a half running. And I think had that been had that been a thing back then, somebody would have been able to point out, like, you dealing with depression right now, like, bro, you dealing with anxiety and
Mhm.
depression at the same time. You need to
Mhm.
go talk to somebody, and it probably
Mhm.
could have saved the thing. But um, yeah, I just want to speak to that because a lot of times
Yeah.
it's like, okay, if I submit as a woman or I step into my feminine energy, he's immediately gonna step into that role and just, be this great, this great leader. It ain't gonna work like that. You have to have some patience. He gonna make some mistakes, and it's gonna be your ability to speak to him, especially in those speak to
Right.
his inner man,
I
Right.
especially in those times of despair like that is going to be the difference
Mhm.
between the success and the death of your relationship or marriage, right? If you say,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
"Oh, you ain't nothing," you always make
Absolutely.
mistakes. That
Absolutely.
brother, that brother will literally, and I've seen it so many times. He could literally be suicidal in that space right there. It is so
Right.
critical and crucial. So
It
I
And
just
you
wanted
know
to
what,
say that.
absolutely
Will?
critical. It
And you know what, Will?
absolutely is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, go
Um,
ahead.
but Will, and what you were just saying is so true because when you are making certain changes in yourself for the betterment of your relationship, you have to think of the long term goal. My goal should not be purposely to change him. My goal should be to change me to be better, and change in me that facilitates a change in him. See,
Hmm.
oftentimes what we do is we say, okay, I'm going to act this way so he can act this way. And when they don't do it right away, then we stop. Okay, then we weren't really being authentic in that so-called goal, because the
Right.
goal is to start within. So
Absolutely.
it took me a while, even as a therapist. It's one thing to tell people something and show them how to do things, but it's another thing to actually apply it to your life. A lot of us know how to do certain things and we fucked it up many times. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Right.
we know what we're doing while we're doing it. But
Absolutely.
but until you hit that wall where it's a, and you look in that mirror with that big ass knot on your head and you say, okay, now, Krista,
Absolutely.
I'm not looking at him,
Absolutely.
I'm looking at me. And what is it that I need to change?
Yes.
So if even if this relationship doesn't work out, I gotta be better for whatever's coming next. So I want to say this
Right.
right quick and then I gotta go. But so Angel and any other of our ladies who are still here, I really think that again, with us focusing on our feminine energy, we could literally change the narrative of our community.
Absolutely. Now,
We
that's
really
the basis of my platform is
we really could.
femininity.
We really could. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm starting with me and I'm
Absolutely.
starting with working on me. Angel, Will, Coach Don, JD, and everybody else. It's been a pleasure. This has been an awesome conversation. Will almost had me into tears, but I composed myself. But thank you so
Awesome.
much
Bless you,
for having
sis.
Thank you
me.
so much, Krista. I
Blessings too. I love you
appreciate you.
guys.
I
I
thank
appreciate you as
you.
well.
Thank you so much for joining. Thank you. And thank you,
Thank you for
Will.
having me.
Absolutely,
Good
absolutely. And
night.
I'm
Good night,
so
guys.
glad that as Will and Krista gave kind of their parting words, and I want to hear from Don and GD, but I want to say something about that as it relates to our topic tonight on being accountable to one another as Black men and Black women, and making certain that we do what we can, do our part. And some people are going to come with us, as Ashley mentioned earlier, and some people are going to be left behind. And that's perfectly okay. I think that one of the things that you all know about me and my platform is as I talk about the power and the femininity. And I want people to understand and not to be mistaken. The reason why I preach that so much to women is not so that you can get a man. That's not the purpose of being in your feminine space and elevating your feminine energy. However, it is very, very important when you want to be heard, appreciated, when you want to be listened to. It is easier to catch bees with honey than with vinegar. Now, when you know the difference between your godly femininity and your goddess femininity, and you're not using it to manipulate, we can have excellent conversations, even in this social media space. I'm not saying that it's for you to allow a man to walk over you or to control you. No, not at all. Because most men want women who are independent. Most men want women who are powerhouses, who knows how to make things happen. It's just that they don't want to be in competition or feel like they're competing with another man. Any heterosexual man is not interested in having that. So what that means is understanding that he has purpose. And if there's a woman that's in his life that is going to encourage that purpose, because remember, masculinity and masculine energy is about doing and being a doer, about providing, about having covering, where feminine energy is about being. And so a man is going to be receptive to a woman who understands and helps him to live in a place of his purpose. The moment that we strip that, we have these arguments on social media and we have this combative conversation. So I appreciate what each of the creators that offered said. I'd love to hear from GD what your parting words were. And thank you again, Will. I definitely followed you back. I encourage everyone to follow this gentleman on his journey and his positive platform. This is what you're going to get when you come to Conversations with Angel every Wednesday. GD, what do you have to say to us as we bring our conversation to an end?
I want to say, on my last comment, I turned in scripture, but I want to turn to the book of R&B. The great R&B prophetess Faith Evans.
Thank you, Will.
She said, I never knew there was a love like this before. Never had someone to show me love, a love like this before. I think that there are so many of us that we are really searching for a love we've never seen, and that the realization of not having that love right now is what causes a lot of us to act where we don't govern ourselves accordingly. And I think that that is the cause for a lot of us either giving up, or we're acting in a manner to where we feel like if you don't like me, then you don't see me for who I really am, or see my worth or value. When the truth of the matter is, I think that all of us have to turn the lens on ourselves and to figure out what Shakespeare said: to thine own self be true. You cannot be true to who you are until you first know who you are and know whose you are. And I realize we don't all share the same faith, and that's okay. But you still need to know who you are and determine the kind of man or woman that you want to be. You know, scripture says, who can find a virtuous woman, for her price is far above rubies. But it also says in Proverbs 20:6, many men proclaim his own goodness. Who can find a faithful man? I
Right.
think that as men, we have to concentrate on our faithfulness, not simply in terms of not cheating, but our faithfulness in terms of being faithful over being responsible, faithful over my family, faithful over being and building myself as a man, faithful over what I have in my life right now, and not define yourself as a man in regard to a woman, but define yourself by what God has made you to be, and figure that
Yes.
out. You know, we're powerful, we're strong, we were mighty, but understand your power in terms of how this can impact society and how you can be beneficial to your immediate community, and not so much power to be domineering or controlling over
Oh,
anything or
yes.
anyone.
Yes.
Once we do that and we figured that out, then we're on the road, I feel, to being successful in every arena of life. And the most important thing, in closing, that a man or a woman can have is discipline. If you are
Yes.
disciplined, you can be anything, you can accomplish anything, you can overcome anything, because you understand how to not be moved by the mood of life, but you are moved by what resides on the inside of who you are. And you're disciplined enough to know that when your intelligence meets your wisdom, then you can birth your calling. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I love it. Follow this young man, this man of God. Follow this creator and all of the creators that I had on the panel tonight. Thank you so much, GD. Your
Thank
words
you.
were amazing as usual. I appreciate you. So everyone, what are the key takeaways that we experienced tonight in this conversation? And you all know that when you participate in Conversations with Angel, there is always going to be homework, but I'm always going to put up for you to see the takeaways and what I hope that you gathered from this conversation tonight. We can't always change people. We shouldn't try to change anyone other than ourselves. If we want to make a difference, if we want to see real improvement, amongst the African American community and the gender wars that seem to be continuously brewing for decades to come, then we've got to acknowledge that not everyone is going to go with us. Not everyone is going to be on the same page. Not everyone is going to have the same agenda to make those types of changes. And so what I say to you is continue to be a positive light. Continue to be one that exhibits positive energy and not feeding into the negative stereotype that the media mainstream wants us to succumb to. I also encourage you not to share or participate in anything that's going to feed those very same negative stereotypes. If you see some behavior that's unbecoming, instead of grabbing your phone to record it, how about grab the individual if you can and it's safe and just say you don't have to do that. When you're in live platforms, listen to one another. If you don't agree with something that someone is saying, just accept it as their opinion. Agree to disagree and walk away. Many of the instances that we see of the fighting and the killing and all of those things, many of them can be avoided if someone took the high road and just walked away. You don't always have to argue your point. Sometimes the person that wins the debate is the silent one, because an ignorant person cannot get into a debate with an intelligent person. An ignorant person will argue with themselves. So, for the sake of being right, is it really worth your integrity, your moral fiber, or can you just know that you're right and walk away? When we are having conversations with our male counterparts, ladies, let's be respectful. Men, when you're in conversation with the female counterparts, let's be respectful. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight on Conversations with Angel. This has been an amazing start to a conversation that I hope that we'll continue to have. Join me on next week. Well, before I tell you what next week's topic is, I want you to save the date. All of the ladies that are here listening in the chat, and those of you that may be listening on the FYP, I want you to save the date of October 1st, 2023, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will host a webinar on my favorite topic, femininity. Many of you have asked, Angel, when is your next class going to be? So stay tuned. The flyer will be dropped this week and registration will start. This will be an intimate look at how do we heal the little girl inside so that we can become more feminine. Femininity is in all of us, ladies. It's in every single one of us. We just need to awaken her so that she can stand in the forefront. I guarantee you, your work relationships will improve, your romantic relationships will, but the most important relationship is the one that you have with yourself. So we're going to do some homework on that day. So save the date, October 1st, 2023, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, my webinar on femininity, healing the little girl within. So next week on your Conversations with Angel, 9 p.m., we're going to take another look at this conversation. However, I want to be women only. Women only in the panel to talk about what is so difficult or what are things that men are doing that is making us so angry. And then, of course, fair is fair the following week, men only. What is it that women are doing that's making you so angry? In order for us to fix the problem, we need to identify it and come up with solutions. Thank you all so much. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. You know I mean it. Take care, and I'll see you all next week on the next Conversations with Angel. Good night.